Almost every country in the world is in debt. The United States today has a debt of over $38 trillion, the highest level in its history. The European Union carries approximately $14 trillion in debt, and Japan nearly $9 trillion. Oil-rich Saudi Arabia, export giants Germany and China, are not outside these figures either. All of them carry significant levels of debt. And at exactly this point, a question naturally arises. If everyone is in debt, then who is receiving the money? This is Financial Historian, the place where money, power, and history meet. And let's say this clearly from the very beginning. Nothing in this story is as simple as it seems, because debt is not just a burden. It is actually the skeleton of the modern world. Wars, crises, economic booms, and collapses, all of them are built on an invisible web of debts. And when you examine this web closely, you are confronted with an unsettling truth. The world is not actually indebted to someone specific. It is indebted to itself. But this does not mean that everyone benefits equally from this system. Today, total global debt exceeds $315 trillion. This figure is nearly 3 times the value the entire world produces in a single year. So, how did we get here? To find the real answer, we actually need to look not at Wall Street, but at battlefields. Let's go back to the year 1694. England is at war with France, and its gold reserves are nearly depleted. The king finds the solution by turning to merchants and negotiating with them. The merchants lend money to the state. So what do they receive in return? The answer is a continuous stream of interest income guaranteed by future tax revenues. To manage and sustain this relationship, the Bank of England is established. This was a revolutionary idea for its time. The state could now spend money it had not yet earned, and the lenders gained something extremely meaningful and valuable: the word of the state, a promise that could be bought, sold, or transferred. This is how the history of government bonds was born, and this is where the true foundation of the modern financial system was laid. France adopted this model. The Netherlands refined it. The United States financed its war of independence and its westward expansion and consolidation using this system. Thus, debt stopped being a source of shame and became a symbol of trust. If you could borrow, you were taken seriously. You were considered capable of governing. In the past, empires conquered lands for gold. Now they issued bonds for interest. The battlefield had changed. It had moved from maps to balance sheets. And if we come to today, debt has become the most common product in the world. Global debt increases by nearly $1 trillion every 100 days. Every country is in debt. Every bank lends money. Every person, whether they are aware of it or not, is inside this system through their taxes, savings, and pension funds. Yet there is still one unanswered question. Who is holding the other end of the rope? Let's start with the United States, because U.S. debt does not only concern America, it concerns the entire world. About half of the $38 trillion in debt belongs to investors, and most of those investors are American: banks, pension funds, insurance companies, and even the Federal Reserve. The remaining portion is held by foreigners. The largest creditor is Japan, followed by China, then the United Kingdom and some European countries. So saying the U.S. is indebted to China is not wrong, but it is incomplete. This represents only about 2% of the total debt. America's main debt is actually to itself. The Treasury issues bonds. Funds buy them. The central bank buys them back. Interest payments are made with tax revenues, and those interest payments flow into pension accounts. The debt is real, but the creditor is like a reflection in the same mirror. And this situation is not unique to the United States. It is a global cycle. Japan lends to the US lends to other countries through the IMF. Europe extends credit to developing nations. Those countries then invest the foreign currency they earn back into Western bonds. Everyone is holding someone else's paper. It is like a game played around a massive table. Everyone has borrowed their chips from someone else. And there is only one rule for the game to continue. No one leaves the table. On top of this table there is another layer, markets. Large funds, pension systems, central banks, structures that manage millions and trillions of dollars. They determine who can borrow cheaply and who will struggle. Democracy decides at the ballot box, but markets decide who survives. And at the center of this system stand the central banks. Central banks do not just manage debt, they actually create it. When they buy a bond, new money is created. One person's debt becomes another person's asset. Every unit of money in circulation corresponds to a debt written somewhere. There is no money without debt. This system has survived for years on a single condition: trust. As long as investors believe that interest will be paid, this cycle continues. Whether the principal is ever repaid becomes secondary. But when trust breaks, and we have seen this before in Greece, in Argentina, in Sri Lanka, suddenly the creditors become visible: the IMF, rating agencies, anonymous funds. And yet the system does not stop. Debts are restructured and new debts replace old ones. Because in the modern world, debt is not designed to be repaid. It is designed to be rolled over. This is not a conspiracy. It is how the system works. Governments never aim to eliminate debt. They only aim to keep it sustainable. Interest is the price paid, the rent of stability. America will never fully pay off its debt. Japan has been rolling over its debt for years. Investors are not there to get their money back, but to stay in the game, because government bonds are considered the safest foundation in the world. And the irony is this: if governments actually paid off all their debt, the system would collapse. That is why debt does not shrink. It grows rhythmically, like the heartbeat of capitalism. And this is why promises like, "We will eliminate the debt," sound good, but do not reflect reality. The goal is not to eliminate debt. It is to keep belief alive, because when belief fades, numbers no longer matter. And one final truth: this system does not treat everyone equally. Interest flows upward, from workers to investors. Debt does not only move between countries, it moves between classes. That is why inequality and debt continue to grow together. Those who hold the debt win, those who pay it carry it. Does this sound familiar? Because this story is the same at every scale. And at the very top there is no single villain. Not China, not Wall Street, not the IMF. All of them, and us. Debt was once bondage. Today it is balance. But if that balance breaks, if trust collapses, we will face the truth. Debt is a promise that cannot be kept forever. If this narrative gave you a different perspective, subscribe. History is full of answers. I simply show you where to look.